All right, so we're gonna be talking about kind of how to be declared righteous in this video, and this is Cole who's gonna be helping me out with this too.
Yep.
So two things: how to be declared righteous, and then kind of the difference between when you are righteous versus when you're not, and what that all means.
So Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." That means we are all unrighteous and we all are unworthy and we do not deserve God's grace at all. But he gives us his righteousness if we choose to do two things, which is have faith and have works. And those two kind of work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And basically, by having faith, the righteousness is given through Jesus, through faith in Jesus, basically.
So now kind of looking at like the difference between like sin and what Jesus Christ did for us. So before we were all dead in sin, but because we have Jesus now and we can put faith in him, we're no longer dead in sin and we're actually alive in Christ instead. In Romans chapter 6 verses 11 and 12 it says, "In the same way count yourselves dead to sin but alive to God in Christ Jesus. Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body so that you obey its evil desires." Basically, like, if you are righteous, if you have faith in the Lord, in Jesus Christ, you're not going to have the sin, like, ruling your life. You're not going to want to do things that doesn't please him. You're still going to fall into sin, but because you're righteous, you're under God's grace, and you will be forgiven.
Romans 6:13 through 14 says, "Do not offer any part of yourself to sin as an instrument of wickedness, but rather offer yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and offer every part of yourself to him as an instrument of righteousness. For sin shall no longer be your master, but you are not under the law, but under grace." So basically what this is referring to is how in the Old Testament, God commanded his people to live under his law, like 10 commandments. That's what he commanded us to live by. Now, they were unable to live by that. They couldn't. We are sinful, we are unrighteous, we are wicked. Now, basically, in verse 13, what it is saying is, do not offer yourself as an instrument to wickedness. That means do not offer yourself to wickedness. Do not try to live a wicked lifestyle. Try to live for Jesus. Try to live and let him change your life. But do not, once you've accepted Jesus and started to live for him, do not actively engage in a wicked lifestyle. Do not actively choose to go on sinning. Do I still sin? Does Willard still sin? Absolutely. We are imperfect. But the difference is we have been made anew in Christ and we actively strive to do better. We try to do better. We want to do better because we want to please Jesus. We don't want to continue to live in sin because honestly, you don't feel good about yourself when you live in sin. You don't. That's the truth. And what it is also saying is to offer yourselves to God as those who've been brought from death to life. So punishment for sin is death. Death, is death. That means not only are you going to die, but you're also going to spend eternity separate from God. That is the absolute truth. That's what is said in Matthew chapter 7. Now, when you choose to live a life for Jesus, you've been brought from death to life. You are now you are covered by his grace. Your sin debt is paid, and you get to spend eternity with him, which is incredible. We should choose to offer ourselves to him as an instrument of righteousness. Choose to offer ourselves to him and try to live a righteous lifestyle.